pleasure, gent. It's a pleasure to have you here, other side of the world.
Yeah.
Pleasure to
Nice
meet
to meet
you. So yeah, in terms of like the band, I guess I'm guitarist and he is the drummer.
Yeah.
If you need any context on that.
No,
Thanks for awesome having us on tonight. Well, I guess it's not night where you are.
No. It's morning. It's morning, but it's no problem. I have to get up for work today anyway. So thank you guys for taking the time to do this. Particularly, of course, is this release kind of period following a single and post-pandemic world. It's a bit busier than it was. How are you both doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah. We're just getting ready. We've got our first show for post-release of our single to like promote it on tomorrow night. So just kind of getting ready for that. Then we got another show backing it up next week as well. So pretty much a busy period for the band, but it's good. Yeah. Lots of stuff happening.
What is preparation? Well, considering, as you said, the show is tomorrow night for you guys. What preparation does that involve these days?
We kind of standardly will rehearse once a week leading up to rehearsal. We try to get through 2 set run-throughs, and it's pretty much stock standard. You don't mess about, you run through the set, and this is kind of the point where you don't want to do much fine-tuning. It's just running through the set and then just going from there kind of thing. But yeah, it's just been a bit of that, just prepping. We've got some new merch that just arrived in today, so we're getting ready to get that all ready to, give out tomorrow as well. Yeah.
It's good that we're at a point with our like kind of performances that it's just, we've got the backing tracks, we've got a set kind of, this is how long it is.
Yeah.
So we just play and do it, just play, just go. Keep it to like 25 minutes for our sets at least. But yeah, keen for our first show since putting out the song. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's the scene like currently, considering post-pandemic? Because, for example, in the UK, following lockdowns and closures and all that sort of thing, there's been a bit of a resurgence of hunger. So a lot of like smaller venues and things like that are getting a bit more packed out. It's one of those things we're kind of hoping it stays before, that apathy sets back in and people stop attending because, you're doing the circuits you've done before. What's it like over there for you guys at the moment?
I definitely say that there's a lot of that. Like, we've been at least feeling a lot of the support from our local mates and stuff. Like, the bands around been coming out seeing us and our fans and stuff. It's been pretty good. Like, we actually, like, just before Christmas, most of the band, only one member, we all caught COVID. Everyone out, like, our one member, he was somehow fine. The rest of us all caught COVID. Immediately back into lockdown. That was the worst time for Australia, probably.
Well, that was our Christmas. So we did a show right before Christmas. Happened to be some sort of spreader event, and like all of us caught COVID. So, like, that was our Christmas.
Yeah, days. We all test positive days before Christmas, and it was
no.
Yes.
Generally, sorry to hear that happen. I mean, it's one of those. If it was that your first time with it?
At the time getting COVID?
Yeah, first time getting COVID.
Yeah.
It was inevitable then.
That's kind of it. It was good that at least, it was rough that it was, I don't know, it was at least good that we didn't go to Christmas having COVID, infect our family, our grandparents, and then feel that guilt or whatever. Definitely better that we knew before and could kind of go, okay, sorry, we can't have delayed Christmas plans or whatever. But like, the fatigue was rough. I made my bed once and then collapsed. I just passed out. I just slept for an hour. It was rough.
Yeah, but no, definitely been feeling like, definitely this year that there's been a big resurgence of people like just showing up to shows and just digs are back and everyone's excited for them. I really hope that apathy doesn't set in.
Yeah.
I think we've got quite a strong core community in Sydney at the moment. There's enough people that support that'll go out to shows, but you still need to put in the legwork promoting your shows as well. And I guess people only come out to support a good band, so you gotta be good too, I guess. But no, it's definitely been feeling a lot of love and support from the community at the moment, especially post-release for this song. We've got a really positive reception so far.
Yeah, I was doing some digging. I was reading through your comments on social media and, of course, over on everyone's favorite place on YouTube. It's been very, very positive reaction to the new single Black Skies. How's that overall in the Broken Earth camp kind of made you feel? Is that quite encouraging?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this song as well for us was a bit of a change in direction of our sound. So we've been kind of, over the past couple of years, we've been going through a couple of different lineup changes and kind of adjusting our sound through that. Like we're in the studio like 2 years ago or so when we were recording some of our older material, and our sounds just naturally changed since then. And because of lockdown and such, we haven't been able to, or it hasn't been the right time to be putting out a lot of material. So we've kind of been sitting on a lot of stuff. So this one was the first where we actually feel like, I reckon, like we've actually found our sound, and like it feels like, you know, this is the direction we're going in. And to get that kind of reception from our fans was very promising. It's exciting because this is how we want to go, and we're glad people are actually enjoying that. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, that was a big thing. We wrote this song kind of around, like, I think it was mainly starting to be written just before lockdown, and then we went into studio as it was happening. Like with that, 2020.
It was like first lockdown.
Yeah. And with that, like for the most part, I've been in the band since like different COVID things have been happening. That's when I joined the band. I was like, oh, well, there's no gigs, you know. I did a gig with the guys subbing in for the old drummer, and since that, like, I joined later on, but that's kind of it. It's basically, it's the response to this song has been great because we've also been feeling this song a lot more. We found our place with it, and lots of the older materials. I think it was 2019 before I even joined, and like the sound has just changed so much that we put out one song, Somnophobia, last year. And last year, that was my brain was like, good days.
But that was recorded like 2 years ago. Before that, so we finally feel like we're catching up with our songwriting and our releases, where it actually feels like, oh, this is what we're writing now. And this is what we're actually like. We're really feeling it as a band.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, I did a comparative to some of your earlier work to the new track earlier on before this interview to try and get an idea, because ultimately when a band might come my way or come, you know, our way, you get put in a box. There's a description that comes with you. That's you sound like this band, or you play this style of music. You guys were defined as simply a metal band, and that made me laugh because you don't see that much any day, and that much these days. Just metal. It's like, well, that's what we looked into. So it's quite interesting to hear there was a significant difference between earlier stuff and what you've now recently done. Not so much that you wouldn't recognize the band, I think, but I think part of what I noticed with the new track as well is there's definitely a bit more of a sharp and focused message. It's a massive track. It's a great track. And I want to kind of dig into the idea for this specific Black Skies, where that idea came from. Obviously, the subject matter is quite out there, like it's straightforward in what you're trying to say.
Well, the message is quite blunt. It's straight to the point. The song was kind of written, in Australia a couple of years ago, we had some really intense bushfires. And essentially people in leadership, people in power in our country were not taking responsibility for it. And there was a lot that was kind of left unchecked, and a lot of people were left kind of homeless, literally like starving on the streets. A lot of people, it was a really tough time. And I think that song then came out of anger towards that, where it's like, and like, I don't know, you see it all over the world at the moment. And I think, you know, I think we're in such a leadership vacuum at the moment where a lot of people in power or in roles of leadership aren't taking responsibility for those roles. And that's where kind of that idea of Black Skies originally came from. A
lot of frustration, for sure. And like, that's it. Like, honestly, the environment's still recovering. Like, I did the drive to Melbourne, and you could just see, it's like, oh, look, all these trees are just still dead. Like, this is what happened, and there wasn't really enough support and not enough kind of a handle on it.
And the action just wasn't there.
That's that's pretty much the inspiration of this. It's very angry at the powers that be.
Yes, I completely understand. I mean, totally different scenario, but, you know, just take one look out the window and look at what the UK is going through these days as well, so I can share your frustration in regards to that. Are you feeling a little bit more encouraged about the way where things are going in regards to your country? Because obviously you had quite recent elections and there were changes.
I'd say so.
I think it's always refreshing seeing a new government come in. It's just, you know, I always like to give the new government a chance. It's like, you know, see what they can do. But I'm always for a change in leadership. I think just kind of seeing what a new government can bring to our country. And, you know, they're still quite new to power, but, you know, I'm always encouraged to see what they can come up with, bringing in new things. I think if someone's in power for too long, I think it can just get very stale.
Yeah.
And I think it's refreshing having that.
Don't mess it up.
No.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah.
You better.
Do better, that's it. But I do always feel refreshed seeing a change in leadership like that.
Going back to the single then, the video kind of really reflects what you're trying to say as well. In particular, that incredible color scheme, the colors in the video that really gets across what you're trying to say. Tell us a little bit about that process and how you kind of, your vision came together.
Yeah, a lot of it was us. A lot of it was the guy who shot our video, Oliver Clark. He had he had a really strong vision for the song as well. Like we kind of told him what the song was about, and I think it was in the end him who kind of had the idea for the red kind of color scheme
all around.
And him, so he came up with a lot of the ideas. So he got essentially, we hired out a warehouse with like a white backdrop behind it. He got these massive LED red lights and kind of flashed them around, and we had like some lanterns kind of hanging up in the background. Like it was very much maybe to kind of resemble like the Black Skies kind of fire kind of feel to the song, but also I think red is just an angry color and we want it to be angry, so it's your default angry color you go for.
That's true. Ollie got what we were trying to do with the song, and he kind of I thought he did pretty well with kind of bringing that to life visually as well, so you can watch the video and go, oh yeah, this is angry. I mean, you can hear it's angry, but it wouldn't fit if it wasn't visually angry as well.
You must have been quite impressed when you saw the end result then, particularly because, of course, a vision and when you're doing the video is one thing, but seeing the end result is another completely.
Well, I always get excited seeing the end results of our videos. I think this was kind of a step up in quality for us as well. Not that our previous stuff hasn't been great, but I think this one we really wanted to go for that kind of professional, slick kind of image kind of look for it. And yeah, just seeing, I remember we were all sitting in Seb's house here watching the first draft of the video up on his big TV. Put it up on the TV, and you know, not to stroke our own egos, but we're like, oh no, this is really cool. This is it. We like this.
To be fair, we gave it our all as well. Like I don't know how long it was, 6 hours or something. We were there late. It was after midnight. Like
I think 2 a.m. we wrapped up or something. It was a late night shoot.
And like, I mean, you passed out. Like at one point, Trotty passed out. It was rough. We gave it like I was dropping sticks because my hands could not hold on to the sticks anymore. We were just playing for that long, and that viciously, I had welts, like blood blisters on my hands that were just coming out like, I don't know, multiple millimeters. I don't know. But my hands were wrecked. All of our hands were wrecked. There was blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of energy, a lot of everything went into this video. So we're pretty happy with it.
I kind of forgot how fit you had to be to shoot a music video, because every take, you do so many takes and you're just giving it your all every single take. Like it takes a hell of a lot of energy.
Yeah, you're not the first to say that, not just regards to music videos, but coming out of like lockdowns and pandemic period and then having to get back on stage and remembering, oh my God, I need to be a little bit fitter to keep this going. That seems to have been a common
felt that before.
Just
like, ooh, I don't have as much air in my lungs as I need. What's that about?
Of course, as well, it's kind of like, clearly it should be noted as well, Broken Earth, you know, you're passionate about things like the environment, but it's not specifically that sort of thing that defines you. I wouldn't want people to like specifically hear this new single and go, oh, that's what you're about. You're also quite candid about things like mental health and aspects like that. Do you think particularly in the rock and metal world, we're talking overall here, that we're getting more open about these sort of things, that more bands are talking about it, there are more songs coming out about it, and people are listening a little bit better?
I certainly think so. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what we've tried to do with our music. We're not trying to stick to one particular thing of being political or just being environmental or just being, you know, like out about our mental health and stuff. But that was what somnophobia was about. It's a
Yep.
big part of that. Um, but that's super important to us. And I think that's a big thing in the metal community right now. I think we're all kind of opening up about that right now. I don't know. I feel like the general kind of consensus is that metal is angry, but there's so much metal that's about kind of other emotions of sadness and also love. But it's the mental health stuff is a big part of it as well, because that's a lot of people struggle with that. And I think the less we talk about it, the less anyone talks about it. It's the less it is known. So I think it's pretty. I don't know, I'm pretty excited to see how much there is of that going around. Just so many different bands that I would say I look up to talking about that kind of stuff more. It's pretty inspiring. Yeah.
I think because the metal community is such a tight knit, like even in like
Yeah.
especially I think in like I know Australia we've definitely seen it where like even in Sydney we've got a very tight knit metal community, and to have bands like opening up about that stuff, like it really makes for a really, I guess, just like a wholesome environment for people to come and support bands, but also feel like they're acknowledged. And when you see bands going up and like acknowledging this kind of stuff, where it's like it kind of, I hope that it gives like our fans the strength to open up about this stuff as well, and realize that it's okay to seek out help if you need to.
Yeah. We definitely will. I think the point of that is we don't want people to feel alone. Like, here are our feelings, and if you agree with that, cool. Now you have something. You've got music right there that's going. Other people feel like this too. At least 4 other people feel like this. There's probably more.
No, well said, well said. But it's not always the easiest thing to express, particularly for such a long time, kind of told not to. When it comes to Broken Earth as a group, is that something you've become a little bit more adept at? Is it getting a little bit easier, and are you getting more and more comfortable with it?
I'd say we are. Our vocalist Raf, like he's our lyricist as well. He comes up with great lyrics, and I think he really captures the right feelings. He really expresses the meanings of the songs well, and kind of gets to the point. And it's a lot of it is just like it's honest, And I think people resonate with that, and I think that's a big part of it. Like, I certainly think so. Yeah.
I think we've always wanted to be an honest band, and kind of what you see is what you get with us kind of thing, like in a good way, like and I think that resonates with people, having kind of a band that's just you know what to expect when you get them, like they're not kind of hiding behind an image or a facade. They're just like any one of their fans, but they just play music.
Yeah.
I guess I think that's always what we've tried to convey, like that kind of honesty aspect of it. Yeah.
I think it is something that comes across your body of work to this point, particularly as if you go back towards the past as well, in the last couple of years and what you've been doing. And I kind of want to stick to that now at the moment in regards to that. One of the things we're always quite interested in know, particularly in regards to the mental health aspect of how you guys have coped during the pandemic period, but mainly its effect on Broken Earth overall. Were you consistently encouraged during it to carry on doing what you were doing? And do you think you've come out the other side stronger for it?
I'm gonna be pretty honest, and I reckon Seb feels the same way. Like, lockdown was tough for us.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There are a lot of points where I like, you're just kind of throwing the towel here, but we didn't. We pushed through. I think what made it tougher was that we also had to go through a couple of different lineup changes. So we brought Seb into the band at one point, and not having that consistent lineup, not releasing music, not doing shows, it all kind of snowballs. But in the end, we stuck through. We had to have some really tough conversations with each other, like, is this worth pushing through? Like, are we all for this? But thankfully, the 4 of us kind of stuck through it, stuck together. And I think absolutely we've come out of it stronger. I think, which is like, I think we also needed to go through, like, not that I'd ever want to go through it again, but the kind of adversity that we had to go through definitely helped us come out the other side stronger. We're like, not that, things aren't going to get harder for us, but I think we're definitely stronger for it. And I think there's not as much that can kind of get in our way or kind of put us off after being through you know, when you're a band that goes through, like, I think we had like 3 separate lockdowns,
Yeah.
and show after show getting cancelled, like, kind of, you don't go through that and just like throw in the towel later. Like, I think we're kind of like,
Yeah.
we've come this far. Like, you know, we've
Big shows too. Like,
yeah,
as this young band that's trying to grow, it's hard when you got this big show coming and be like, sweet, this is gonna be so great for us, get new fans and get exposed to these, like, the people who are fans of this band. But then lockdown happens and the show gets canceled, and I was like, oh well, that's rough. What are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna get an opportunity like that again? We don't know. But I absolutely agree. It was definitely rough. We've come out stronger for it, but I think the thing that always came through with each conversation was, do we want to keep doing this? And
Yep.
It always felt like, yes, the music is there. We like this music. We believe in it. And that was always the reason. It was always the music, really, to my mind.
I think yeah. Well, saving grace was that we just kept songwriting.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like, all right, there are things outside our control, but
Yep.
what can we do during this period? And that was building up an online fan base and essentially just tracking all these demos and getting excited about the music we were writing. Like, you know, we couldn't control doing shows or not doing shows.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we couldn't control the lineup changes we went through, but we stuck to what we could control, and I think that's what got us through in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing, because we like to try and focus on some positive stories during a university negative period where the positivity is very hard to find, particularly when we're talking to bands and artists about their experiences and any positive stories, things that might have helped get yourselves through that period specifically. Would you say yours was the focus on songwriting?
I think so. I'd say so. That felt like it. Basically, of course, there were times where we'd be in lockdown to the point of no guests allowed, and at that point we just go, all right, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah,
all right, try to work from home, I guess. But whenever we had like the 5 guests minimum, whatever, whenever we could have people over, that was good. It was good to get in the room. I know at one point we were kind of weird about socializing with each other. Like, we'd be like, oh, geez, it's been so long since I've seen people.
Yeah.
Hug. It was weird. It was, you know, we had to get used to that again. And I think, yeah, that bit of interaction where we're going, oh yeah, it's work. It's work. It's a band. This is work. I'm sure this is fine. And just kind of tempting the law a bit, maybe. But yeah, I definitely think the songwriting helped us get through. I think that was a big part.
What about as we come out of this sort of post-pandemic period, because it's not like the world's okay, but we are in a bit of a post-pandemic period, fingers crossed, and things are beginning to kind of back up a little bit. Are you finding that the Broken Earth train is beginning to kind of get rolling? You do have these shows coming up. You have this new single. Is this kind of now the train starting to pick up a bit of speed?
Absolutely. I think what was cool was that all the work that we did during lockdown that didn't seem to pay off then is paying off now, because we had all this new material written. We were ready to go into the studio. We were ready to play shows. We had made a bunch of connections where it was like, we kind of feel like it's all starting to pay off now, which is really cool. Like, you know, we've got a new single out. We're getting these shows booked. You know, we're gaining a stronger fan base and community. We're definitely feeling that kind of snowball effect now in a very positive way.
It mainly the gigs, I would say. I'd say the gigs are a big part of it. After we put out the last song, we didn't really get to reap much of the rewards. You know, we played a few shows, and then we got COVID. But this year there's been so many more, and also I would say arguably bigger shows, shows with bigger bands where we're supporting these bigger bands, as well as we're kind of finding more and more of our place in the scene and seeing so much support. Yes, the train is definitely moving more. And if there's one positive from lockdown besides the songwriting, it's the songwriting. We were challenging ourselves as well. The drum parts, we were writing harder stuff. The guitar parts are hardest. The vocals are hard. Everything's more difficult because we want it to be interesting, as well as tell the stories right through the music. But that's this train that's kept kind of chugging along, and we've been working on ourselves and on the band, on the music, on the performance, everything. It's really good. It's really great to just kind of come out of lockdown and be like, I hope things go well. Let's record, and then as soon as we stop recording, gig. It's felt like there's been a gig at least once a month, maybe twice, maybe once every 2 months. That's like the farthest different distance, really. That's what it felt like, at least.
Well, I can only hope that continues for you, particularly as we're still in this difficult period where cancelled tours and postponed tours and all of that is still kind of trying to be made up for. Festivals are fully booked because they're holdovers for years and things like that. But it seems like not just with Broken Earth and your mindset, but with Black Skies and what you said earlier on, that this is you potentially haven't found exactly where you want to go moving forward. So I guess that's the next question. Is Black Skies a good barometer for what we will get as you continue onwards?
That's that's an interesting question.
Yes and no. Yes and no. You know, we're going heavy.
We are going heavier. There are more breakdowns. But I mean, I don't want to disclose too much because we're on we're keeping it pretty
true. How much
close guarded.
Yes and no. There's a bit of variety. There's a bit of variety. Get some more, melodicness in there. Get a bit more heaviness in there, and trying some new things. It's a little experimental in a good way,
because we've just, I think a few months ago we were in the studio tracking a couple of new songs that were kind of they're going to be the post Black Skies song. Like I think Black Skies was like, hey, we've rebranded, like kind of this is what we are, this is what we're about.
We're here and we're angry.
We're here. And I think the songs we're going to be putting out hopefully later this year. Keep your fingers crossed. But they're going to be, I think they're going to be the definitive new era kind of songs.
I think so.
Right.
So I guess like you can expect the same intensity, the same amount of kind of heaviness and breakdowns, but also expect like a bit more kind of the melodic aspects of it as well.
Yeah.
Definitely everything. These songs all come from the heart as well. Like I know. Like these are the songs that we essentially wrote during lockdown.
Yeah.
Like it's weird thinking about it now, but we rewrote these songs where like emotions were on a high kind of thing. But we
one of those songs is kind of about that. Without spoiling too much, it's there's emotions in there, heaviness, melodicness, new territory for us.
Yeah. But Black Skies is definitely a decent barometer to go off.
That's it. We're not going backwards. We're going somewhere else, I guess. If that makes sense.
I love how carefully you're trying to dance around the aspect of not giving
we don't want to get kicked out of the band.
No,
so the first song's in this key. The riff sounds like
I completely understand why you have to do that. No, I completely understand why you have to do that. But I also know it's one of those things where ultimately when you talk to an artist and the interview is designed around a specific release, ultimately it inevitably gets onto what you're doing now because you are artists and you're always looking forward. So it's incredible to hear that you have these sort of things in the work, which brings me to the last thing really. What's your hopeful plans for 2022? You mentioned potential releases, fingers crossed, at the end of the year or later on in the year. But is it just gig and see what happens?
Some interstate gigs, I guess. Like one.
Yeah, well,
mainly gig and release.
Yeah, we want to start kind of branching out of Sydney. Like we're keeping things pretty close to the chest. But you may see us, touring outside of Sydney, later towards the year. Hopefully just branching out further into Australia. Getting some more fans within other states. And hopefully leading to my dream has always been to tour internationally, so hopefully working towards that, maybe not this year but within next year, the year after, getting to that point where we start doing the international kind of gigs and stuff. I think part of it is the gigs and stuff, but we're also really excited to get these new songs out and seeing whether that takes us as well.
Right, I think I'm going to stop asking you questions about what might actually happen because it's clear there's a lot in the works, and that is good enough. It seems like for Broken Earth, it's a very exciting period. It comes across talking to you that you're very encouraged about what's coming up, and I guess stick to your socials to keep an idea about what's going to come up. Right.
That's it. We're keen for this music. We hope everyone else likes it too. Yeah, it's
Exciting times.
It's exciting times. It's definitely exciting times. Yeah.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?